Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 453 based on novel. So let's start. The palm print couldn't resist at all and collapsed like dried up wood. After the roar broke the palm print, it charged out from the spatial rift. It landed on the black-robed man floating outside the spatial rift. Roar? The expression of the black-robed man changed greatly. His body trembled and he coughed out blood, retreating frantically as he did so. However, he only retreated 3 steps before his legs exploded. There was no flesh or blood, only white bones. A large portion of his black robe was torn apart and wrapped around his body. He screamed and quickly retreated. The Sovereign, the most mysterious cultivator in the ancient star system, the person who had used Fish the Moon in the well on Wang Lin, fled like a stray dog. The power of a roar, the power of a roar. Back then, he was forced to retreat billions of kilometers out of the inner realm by a roar. This time he was forced to retreat by a roar as well. However, aside from him, no one else knew if this roar was from the same person or not. The spatial rift in the ancient star system rapidly shrank. In the tomb, the woman in white had a pale face as she closed in on the rift. She was shaken by the roar, and although she had managed to keep her body through a special method, she was injured. Seeing the rift shrink, she knew it was too late to leave. "You helped me once, so I'll help you once." Just as the woman in white was about to despair, Wang Lin's divine sense echoed in her ears. The woman in white was familiar with this divine sense. It was the divine sense that exasperated her, but after hearing his voice, her expression changed. "It's you." Just as she spoke, the shrinking spatial rift suddenly paused. The woman in white suppressed the shock in her mind. She knew it wasn't the time to ask questions. She charged at the rift and stepped through it in the blink of an eye. When she was next to the spatial rift, she turned around and looked back with her beautiful eyes. She could faintly feel Wang Lin's divine sense. A complicated expression appeared on her face as she felt that exasperation she felt when the divine sense seemed to see through her everything. She turned around and stepped out of the rift. The moment she left, the rift suddenly shrank and disappeared from the ancient star system. Before Wang Lin's divine sense retreated, he used the will of the tomb to seal it for 100 million years. The Sovereign didn't die from the roar. He knew that the woman in white had entered, and if he found out she left, would he become suspicious? If he really becomes suspicious, then I didn't do this for nothing. Inside the palace, Wang Lin's divine sense returned to the throne. Because his divine sense had fused with the tomb, there was no rejection force from the throne. His expression was calm as he sat there. His eyes were like lightning as he looked at the broken illusory net and Tuo Sen, who had been knocked back by that roar. Tuo Sen was in a sorry state. His body was a bloody mess and his white bones could be seen. The remaining flesh was rapidly moving and recovering. This was an extremely rare opportunity. Tuo Sen was seriously injured. If it was anyone else, they would attack without hesitation, but Wang Lin didn't. He was an ancient god and Tuo Sen was also an ancient god. Ancient gods should have the dignity of the ancient gods. If it was before Wang Lin had obtained his 7th star, he would have attacked without hesitation, but now he wanted to battle with Tuo Sen at full power. There was also a more important reason why he had to do this. Your ancient god stars have shattered many times. Although you've used some unknown method to reach 8 stars again, they are not as good as they were before. Wang Lin was sitting on the throne, looking down with a domineering aura. His voice slowly entered Tuo Sen's mind. Tuo Sen silently pondered as he rapidly recovered his body. After he escaped from planet Suzaku, he had taken over Tu Sai's body. Tu Sai's body was that of a royal ancient god that had survived for countless years. The 7 stars between Wang Lin's eyebrows were rotating rapidly, and there was ancient devil energy swirling in his right eye. However, because the inheritance lacked ancient demon energy, it was incomplete, so the ancient devil star couldn't fully take shape. Unless he had a complete ancient devil avatar. Ancient devil avatar, if it was anywhere else, it would be difficult to find one. However, he could find one in this tomb, especially in this palace. there were still some petrified corpses of the 3 Ancient Order clan members remaining. Among them, there was a 10,000 feet tall ancient devil that had maintained its ferocious expression from when it was alive. It was very eye-catching among the other corpses. Wang Lin raised his right hand and reached out. The ancient devil body flew toward him and landed before him. He then pressed his right hand on its body. Unfortunately, there is no royal ancient devil here. This corpse only has some aura of a royal ancient devil. Wang Lin's right hand pressed down on the corpse of the ancient devil. The devilish energy in his right eye rushed into ancient devil through his right hand. The ancient devil aura inside Wang Lin's body was extremely large. At this moment, it rushed out into the ancient devil's petrified body that was like a bottomless pit. As Wang Lin sat there, his devilish energy rushed into the ancient devil body before him. His eyes were still locked onto Tuo Sen, who was rapidly healing outside the illusory net. Aside from his own pride, the other reason Wang Lin had given Tuo Sen time was because he needed time as well. He couldn't leave the throne to fight. Although there was no rejection force on this throne, because the rejection force was gone, the aura of inheritance that made Wang Lin's eyes red had also disappeared. Wang Lin had somehow learned that if he got up then, even if he sat down again, there would be no more inheritance. This was an inexplicable enlightenment he had gained when his divine sense fused with the will of the tomb. That's why he couldn't get up. The inheritance for him to become a 7-star ancient god didn't satisfy Wang Lin. He wanted more inheritance. He wanted that rejection force to appear once more. Only then would the inheritance aura be increased by several-fold and be forced out from the beating heart in the 3rd layer. There was only one way for the rejection force to appear again. Wang Lin revealed a decisive gaze. Although Tuo Sen was outside and the rejection force was dangerous, he wasn't willing to give up. When he revealed that decisive gaze, he cut off the fusion of his divine sense with the tomb. When his divine sense was cut off from the tomb, the heaven-shaking rejection force appeared from the throne once more. At the same time, the heart in the 3rd layer started beating rapidly and the aura of inheritance rushed into the throne. A 7-star ancient god was far stronger than a 6-star ancient god. Wang Lin sat motionlessly, resisting the rejection force. This time he no longer sealed his body to prevent the aura from leaking out. Instead, he did the opposite and took the initiative to forcibly absorb the inheritance aura from the throne. Passive and proactive are similar, but they are worlds apart. Not only is it a difference in behavior, but also a difference in mentality. After more than 2,000 years of cultivation, Wang Lin had finally allowed his ancient god body to reach 7 stars. A 7-star ancient god's body was not something a second-step cultivator could easily damage, unless the ancient god was going through a trial. Otherwise, it would require a large amount of celestials to besiege an ancient god for several days before they could kill him. It could even be said that a complete 7-star ancient god's body had the strength to battle early-stage Nirvana Void cultivators. More importantly, 7 stars meant that the ancient god had entered the stage of rapid maturity to adulthood. As time passes, the body of a 7-star ancient god would continue to grow more powerful. Of the ancient god's 9 stars, every star after 5 stars was extremely difficult to obtain. However, once each star was formed, the ancient god's power would increase several-fold. At this moment, with his spells, fire and thunder essences, Dao spells, and other things, he could face a 3rd-step early-stage Nirvana Void cultivator and not be at a disadvantage. And if no accident happened, he was strong enough to win. The 7-star ancient god Wang Lin was no weaker than Tu Sai when he was at 7 stars. Although Tu Sai had the complete inheritance, Wang Lin was the first existence that was a fusion of a cultivator and an ancient god. Wang Lin would even dare to fight mid-stage Nirvana Void cultivators. Although he would likely lose, they would find it extremely difficult to kill him. In the 3rd step, the Nirvana Void, Spirit Void, Arcane Void, and Void Turbulent stages all had early, mid, and late stage just like the 2nd step. The difference between each level was enormous, like the difference between Nirvana Cleanser and Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. Wang Lin's eyes were bright like fire as he sat on the throne and allowed the rejection force to shake his body. However, the power that was once enough to break down his body couldn't affect him too much anymore. Continuing from before, It was now the 20th breath and 21st breath. These two breaths passed in an instant and the rejection force increased greatly. As the rejection force slammed into Wang Lin, the aura of the inheritance also surged out. This aura of inheritance was devoured by Wang Lin like crazy. His body and the ancient devil were like two terrifying black holes. The aura of inheritance was being split into two and being absorbed by the two. Absorbing the inheritance was extremely difficult with the rejection force constantly colliding with him, but Wang Lin didn't give up. Wang Lin knew that if he missed this chance now, it would be extremely difficult to get another opportunity. 22nd breath, 23rd breath, 24th breath. The rejection force from the throne had reached a terrifying degree, and thunderous rumbles were echoing. Even with Wang Lin's 7-star ancient god body, it was starting to be a bit unbearable. His body trembled and showed signs of collapse. However, the recovery of a 7-star ancient god was far stronger than that of a 6-star ancient god. Just as the collapse happened, his body rapidly recovered. As Wang Lin continued to absorb the aura of inheritance, a weak cyclone appeared next to the 7 stars. This cyclone was the sign of the 8th star. Once it appeared completely, Wang Lin would become an 8-star ancient god. An 8-star ancient god was an extremely powerful existence in this world. However, becoming an 8-star ancient god was too difficult. It required far more energy than the amount of reached 7 stars. Although the cyclone had formed, it was so faint that no one would notice it without looking at it carefully. Once Wang Lin relaxed for a moment, this weak cyclone would dissipate, leaving no trace behind. At the same time, the ancient devil's body was being filled with ancient devil energy that Wang Lin was pouring in like crazy. Wang Lin had even sent the ancient devil star that hadn't fully taken shape in his right eye into the ancient devil. The petrified body began to show signs of recovery. Some parts were not as hard as stone and instead became soft. Its originally bleak right eye shined brightly and an ancient devil star was about to form. It was slowly condensing, becoming more and more clear. At this moment, Tuo Sen, who was healing outside the net, suddenly moved. His flesh was moving and he had recovered 80%. Tuo Sen's body was Tu-Sai's body. Back then, Tu-Sai was infinitely close to becoming a 9-star royal ancient god. He had even stagnated at 8 stars for far too long, and his body had reached the limit of an 8-star ancient god. In order to break through to 9 stars, Tu-Sai had used the ancient god's forbidden spell. However, it failed, and that's how the inner demon Tuo Sen had appeared. Tuo Sen's recovery ability was far stronger than Wang Lin's. If not for the fact that his injuries from the roar were very serious, he wouldn't have delayed it until now to recover. Recovering to 80% was already his limit. The last 20% of damage was not on his physical body, it was the damage to his soul caused by the roar. He would need to enter closed-door cultivation to recover fully. Tuo Sen suddenly raised his head as his 8 stars rotated rapidly. He stared at Wang Lin, who was sitting on the throne, and revealed a complicated expression. It could be said that he was the person who understood Wang Lin the most in the world. From a tiny core formation cultivator to the master of a generation that dared to give him the time to recover. Although this sounds easy, how many people in the world could do it? If you want a battle with me, I'll fulfill your request. The battle outside the realm ceiling formation was not enjoyable. Today we will fight again in this ancient land. As Tuo Sen spoke, he walked forward and went through the gap in the ancient leaves. He stepped out and entered the palace. This was the first time Tuo Sen hadn't called himself this god. A simply change in speech, but it revealed that he recognized Wang Lin as an ancient god. Tuo Sen had never believed that Wang Lin was an ancient god. Even after escaped, he still believed that Wang Lin was just someone who had stolen the memory inheritance. Even after Wang Lin reached 6 stars and battled him, Tuo Sen still didn't see Wang Lin as an ancient god. In his heart, he always felt that Wang Lin wasn't qualified to become an ancient god. However, now that he had seen Wang Lin becoming a 7-star ancient god, felt the powerful ancient god power from Wang Lin's body, witnessed Wang Lin face the dangerous inheritance head-on, and Wang Lin had still himself time to recover. In his head, he had to accept Wang Lin as an ancient god. An ancient god like himself. There is no vendetta between us. This is our destined battle, the battle for the inheritance. Tuo Sen's voice was like a wave. The moment he stepped forward, the palace shook. In a flash, his body grew to 10,000 feet tall. His right hand formed a fist and he threw a punch. An ancient god's body could change at will, so Tuo Sen could do this. Before, Wang Lin didn't realize it, but after reaching 7 stars, he had a vague feeling. Like how the 10,000-foot body wasn't the limit of a 7-star ancient god. Wang Lin's eyes were like lightning. The moment Tuo Sen entered the palace, his eyes shined brightly. His eyes were filled with battle intent and his ancient god stars were rotating rapidly. As Tuo Sen threw a punch, Wang Lin's left hand threw a punch without hesitation. The two ancient gods who both had 2 size inheritances, began their second destined battle. When Tuo Sen threw his punch, a storm swept across the palace. This caused esteemed Ling Dong and Zhu Jin to get knocked back. Both were seriously injured and could no longer fight. They could only sit in the distance and rapidly recover. Esteemed Ling Dong was calm and didn't care about the result of this battle. He was focused on recovering. Zhu Jin's eyes were filled with a complicated gaze. He had clearly witnessed Wang Lin's strength before and after entering the tomb. The last shred of hope he had disappeared and he silently closed his eyes to heal. As Tuo Sen punched the air, a giant shadow appeared behind him. This shadow was as tall as the world and had a tyrannical expression. It released a sense of arrogance and disdain. The moment it appeared, the palace trembled violently as if it was going to collapse. This illusory shadow was Tu Sai. A peak 8-star ancient god, a shadow of Tu Sai. Tuo Sen was the inner demon of Tu Sai, and although he had attacked his own master, his soul and will were still Tu Sai. At this moment, with a full power punch, Tu Sai's shadow appeared. The shadow also threw a punch toward Wang Lin. At this instant, a giant shadow appeared behind Wang Lin as well. This shadow was Tu Sai as well. However, compared to Tuo Sen's shadow, this shadow is not tyrannical but filled with wisdom. As Wang Lin punched the air, the Tu Sai shadow behind him also raised its left hand and threw a punch. If there was a sky here, it would have changed colors. If there were clouds here, the clouds would have scattered. This was destiny. 2 giant ancient god shadows that looked exactly the same, to the point that even the lines on their skin were all the same, punched at each other. The only difference was that one was as tyrannical as a devil and the other was wise and calm. Under each of the 2 giant ancient gods were Wang Lin and Tuo Sen. The 2 of them came closer and closer. In a flash, Tuo Sen closed in on the platform. His right fist descended and collided with Wang Lin's left fist. At the same time, just as the 2 began their destined battle, a charming figure appeared outside the illusory net. This charming woman was one of the 8 celestial imperial concubines. Thunderous rumbles echoed when Wang Lin and Tuo Sen's fist collided. At the same time, the 2 shadows of Tu Sai also collided. It was as if the void of the palace was torn apart. Thunderous rumbles echoed as Tuo Sen's Tu Sai shadow trembled. The right arm collapsed and he was knocked back for steps. Then the ferocious-looking Tu Sai shattered. The Tu Sai filled with wisdom also trembled and his left arm shattered. He was knocked back 3 steps and countless fine cracks filled his body before it shattered. The collision of the 2 ancient god shadows created a heaven-shattering force. A huge crack appeared in the palace and formed a huge rift between the 2 ancient gods. As the thunderous rumbles echoed in this battle of destiny, Tuo Sen's punch collided with Wang Lin. When their fists collided, his eyes shined. Countless ripples appeared between their fists. There was a terrifying force inside each ripple. Their punches were made with different methods, but both used strength. The moment Tuo Sen's punch fell, he threw 99 punches in a row. Although it looked like one punch, it was simply that his 99 punches were so fast that they had fused into one. This was Tuo Sen's Tao of strength, to break the heavens with strength. If I can't destroy you with one punch, then I'll punch you 99 punches one after another. There is no skill, and no matter how much you resist, you will be shattered by these 99 punches. Wang Lin's punch used the Black Tortoise spell he had learned from the 2nd generation Vermilion Bird. He fused a rebound force into his fist so that the rebound power could erupt in one go. To put it simply, Wang Lin's punch treated Tuo Sen as the surface of the water. His punch created a powerful rebound force from Tuo. Senator Wang Lin then cleverly borrowed this rebound force and used it as his own attack. His blow not only contained his own power, but also the power he had borrowed from Tuo Sen. Wang Lin was competing in strength against Tuo Sen's 99 punches. Wang Lin's punch not only contained his own power and the power he had borrowed from Tuo Sen, there was also another important force. It was due to the existence of this power that Wang Lin would dare to face the 8-star Tuo Sen. This power was the rejection force coming from the throne beneath him. This power rushed into his body and exited through his punch as a powerful force that collided with Tuo Sen's fist. The thunderous rumbles echoed and blood came out from the corner of Wang Lin's mouth. Cracking sounds echoed. 3 cracks had appeared on the throne. The huge platform under the throne began to collapse. In a flash, half of the platform collapsed. Blood also flew out from the corner of Tuo Sen's mouth. He was in the air and couldn't borrow the chair to release the force. He retreated back thousands of feet and came close to the illusory net. Refreshing. With just a competition of power, you, Wang Lin, indeed qualified to call yourself an ancient god. The charming woman had used some unknown method to reform her body and then used her connection with Tuo Sen to find him. She had personally witnessed their battle. Her expression changed and killing intent appeared in her eyes. She then charged at the illusory net. She was going to help Tuo Sen kill Wang Lin. However, just as she was about to enter the illusory net, Tuo Sen arrived close to the net. He turned around and threw a punch at the charming woman that was going to enter the net. Scram! Outsiders aren't qualified to enter a battle between this god's clan members. The charming woman didn't expect Tuo Sen to attack her. When that punch arrived, her hands quickly formed a seal. A ribbon appeared around her and she withstood this punch by force. A thunderous rumble echoed. She was already seriously injured, and she coughed out blood as she was forced back a few steps. The charming appearance she had was gone and was replaced with a hideous expression. Tuo Sen, you dare to rebel against my will? Tuo Sen's eyes became cold as he sneered and he threw a punch at the imperial concubine. Tuo Sen said, do you really think this god is a reckless person? If I didn't need to borrow you to recover, did you really think you could control this god? Who in this world is qualified to control this god? You are just a plaything of the celestial sovereign, yet you dare to scheme against me. Scram! The storm created by Tuo Sen's punch rushed at the illusory net. It forced the already seriously injured concubine to retreat even more. Tuo Sen grabbed the illusory net and pulled it. His ancient god power poured into the net and sealed the net once more so that charming woman could not enter. All of this happened in a flash. Then Tuo Sen turned around and looked at Wang Lin. Now no one can disturb our battle. Although a majority of the stone platform had collapsed, time was slowly passing. It was now the 39th breath, and the rejection force had reached Wang Lin's limit. Even with his 7-star ancient god body's recovery power and his 2 essences offsetting the force, he found it difficult to hold on. If he continued this, his body would collapse once more and he would die. As the rejection force became even more fierce, the inheritance aura surged as well. Wang Lin absorbed it like crazy and the cyclone that represented the 8th star became even more clear. The ancient devil body that wasn't destroyed laid beside him. As the devilish energy flowed into it, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th ancient devil stars appeared in its right eye. As Wang Lin continued to absorb the inheritance aura by force, blood flew out from his left eye, causing him to feel intense pain. Because Li Guang had shot out Yi Mi's left eye, the ancient order inheritance was incomplete. The more inheritance aura Wang Lin absorbed, the more pain Wang Lin felt in his left eye. It was as if he had become Yi Mo and his own left eye had collapsed. Even the vision in his left eye rapidly blurred as if Wang Lin was losing his left eye. Wang Lin could give up a mere left eye? However, the left eye Li Guang had shot out contained half of Yi Mo's memory and his yearning for his hometown. As the pain in Wang Lin's left eye intensified, his memory seemed to be torn apart. 1,000 years of memories, his memories of Lee Muwen, his hometown, planet Suzaku, and all the people he cared about were about to be torn away from him. Give me back my left eye? As Wang Lin absorbed the aura of inheritance, this roar echoed in his mind. It was also at this moment that Tuo Sen sealed the illusory net. His eyes were filled with battle intent as he walked toward Wang Lin. His right hand reached at the sky and the world trembled as a 1,000-foot spear appeared in his right hand. 2 size royal ancient god treasure, god-slaying spear. As he roared, Tuo Sen tilted back, holding the god-slaying spear. All the force in his body gathered in the god-slaying spear and he threw it at Wang Lin. The god-slaying spear released a glaring light and ancient god aura. It was like a bolt of lightning that split the world as it shot toward Wang Lin. Blood still was flowing down from Wang Lin's left eye, making for a shocking scene. As the god-slaying spear closed in, Wang Lin raised his head. The vision from his left eye was blurry and the memories being torn in his mind made the veins on his face swell. When the god-slaying spear arrived and Tuo Sen rushed in, it was the 44th breath. The rejection force suddenly rushed into Wang Lin's body. He closed his eyes and recalled the punch, palm, and finger Yi Mo had used in the past. God tremble, army formation. Wang Lin inhaled while being hit by the rejection force. Although blood was flying out from his orifices, he absorbed a large amount of inheritance aura. He gently threw a punch with his left hand. The void before him distorted and many ripples began to spread with him as the center. The 8th star around his 7 stars suddenly began to condense, and the cyclone rapidly formed. Although forming the cyclone was far from the 8th star forming, it was like setting the foundation for cultivators. Only with a foundation would he have chance of becoming an 8-star ancient god in the future. The birth of any star would require a cyclone to form. Then it would need to absorb enough ancient god power for the star to form. The god-slaying spear was extremely fast and quickly arrived. It was less than 100 feet away. Wang Lin's hair was pushed back by the wind and the countless fragments from the collapsed platform were blown away. Devil Dao, life and death reverse. Wang Lin closed his eyes and his left hand pointed forward. What he pointed at was the god-slaying spear that was closing in. When his finger and the tip of the god-slaying spear touched, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. At the same time, his divine sense erupted and rushed into the throne. He rushed through the rejection force, and as his divine sense collapsed layer by layer, he rushed toward the heart in the 3rd layer that was connected to this throne through a mysterious method. This video will end here.